I don't know how to say it. The semifinal one was a f***ing bloodbath. Don't believe me? Stay tuned until after the intro for me to tell you all about it. Hello, this is J.E. Realize, and what a ride we have. The American Song Contest has gone through its highs and its lows, and mostly its lows. And in fact, Show 6, the first semifinal, has ended up basically where it was in Show 4. Basically, all of its growth was negated. And not only that, and not only are we still losing to CBS, ABC, and Fox. You know, it's kind of ironic that I said 911 wouldn't be a serious contender to American Song Contest. How naive was I? But we're also losing to NBC's other show on Monday primetime, The Endgame. At least with Avengers Endgame I would understand. That's a juggernaut. You don't mess with a juggernaut. But just this show, just called The Endgame, I really have no words to say about that. That is just dumb. Hold up. Hey, there's a Eurovision Canada? Despite all of the losing ASC is doing, EBU has still announced that they're working with a Canadian producer to create Eurovision Canada. No, I'm not kidding. They're creating a Canadian national final consisting of all of its 10 provinces and 3 territories, despite the fact that ASC is a flaming pile of garbage. Nothing against ASC, I love ASC, but really is a flaming pile of garbage. And I'll get back to that at the end of the video. But let's move on to the bloodbath I was alluding to before. The qualifiers for the final from semifinal 1. As we found out last show, Washington made it to the final. And wow, I mean, so basically all the 3 other jury qualifiers were left to the mercy of the public vote. And mercy, the public vote gave none. Okay, who do we have qualifying for the final? First up, Oklahoma. No surprise. The public is very adamant about Oklahoma getting into the contest. Oh, did I say the public? I mean the AI troopers. Dang, an insurrectionist movement really wants to push Oklahoma into the final. K-pop stands, I tell you. Second up, we have Colorado. Again, not very surprising that Colorado would make it to the final given the install base. And I can't say too much about Riker Lynch's install base because a lot of it isn't under the NBC umbrella. But Riker Lynch has an install base. But it's still just kinda sad. The third public qualifier. That's what gets me. The third public qualifier was voice winner Jordan Smith from Kentucky. What? Okay, I get that New Hampshire was carried by the public vote. But really, Sparrow? I just don't get it. Wait a minute. I'm having a case of deja vu. I need to snap out of it. But dang, even when the jury isn't pushing Kentucky further into the contest, the public vote, all on their own, pushed Kentucky into the contest. That makes me more than a little nervous. Remember how I said it was basically going to be between Washington and Tennessee? Well, I may have to redact that because Kentucky. Fan wink, anyone? And finally, okay, I can see if New Hampshire qualifies for the final. I can see if Wyoming qualifies for the final. And I honestly kind of wish Massachusetts would qualify for the final. And there is kind of public support for that. But guess who we got instead? Alabama. More than a little surprised. Not that I hate them, they're in my top 10, but really, these guys, 1/3 of the TikTok trio, with, you know what? I'm gonna give the public credit here. You saw Love for Love and you qualified them, and it was honestly a solid ballad that would do well in the final of Eurovision. Not quite make top 10, but do well. But dag nab, that leaves 6 other entries that didn't quite make it. Michigan and Rhode Island, for instance. The other 2 jury qualifiers didn't make it. I mean, wow. A lot of warm and fuzzy things were said about Michigan. That wasn't enough. And Rhode Island, oh goodness sake. At least Washington can no longer complain about Rhode Island. Congratulations, Alden Stone. Your childishness knocked Rhode Island out of the competition. Wow, feels like deja vu again. Hold on. Massachusetts is gone. Wyoming is gone. New Hampshire is gone. And who was the other one? Oh yeah, Montana. The one I don't really care about. Yeah, just finally. That was a thorn in my side since day 1. Well, actually, more like day 2. You're gone. Go home. Goodbye. I still wish nothing but the best for Joan April. As much as I may heckle and, you know, show disdain, at the very end, I don't really wish ill will for any of these participants. They still provided good songs. It's just I like songs of some kinds more than songs of other kinds. And unfortunately, Joan April fell on the negatives on my list. But hey, salute to him. That still does not stop the fact that this was just unbearable to go through because of all the good stuff you cut. It's like you were looking for prime beef, and by doing that, you got all these slabs of choice beef and select beef strewn all over the place. It's like, what a waste of beef. But let's move on to the performances of the night. And as before, I won't go into specifically what I thought of the songs. I'll more be talking about the performances. And what a performance to kick us off. First off is Puerto Rico, who came in on a motorcycle. Now, I'll give you credit. Christian Bagan knew how to make an entrance in the first show, given how he came in from the green room. Eurovision never started us off with an act in the green room during a performance. The closest we got was Sweden 2017 with Robin Bengtsson. No, I'm not kidding. That's his middle name, given how the Melodifestivalen performance went. And we got more of a focus on neon lights and a lot more Puerto Rican flags. Hey, if they're not proud, then they wouldn't be powerful, am I right? Next up is North Carolina. A country act that I'm starting to care less and less about. And they haven't really changed much since their previous performance. They've just kind of had toned down the LED screens. That's about it. Then we got Kansas. Another entry in my top 10. And hopefully no one does him dirty, but you can't bank on that. Broderick Jones and the song Tell Me, and they basically changed mainly the costumes. Everything else is mostly the same. The costumes are different, and for the backup dancers it's pretty solid. But Bra Bra is stuck in a sweater vest. I cannot fathom an instance where you would think a sweater vest would help you out, Chico. We follow that up with the redemption artist Anissa from New York. And the performance I would suggest is basically they added more of everything that was in the previous performance to it. It's subtle, but you notice it's there. They add a little bit more touches to everything. To the background dancers, to the lighting, to the effects. The jungle gym stayed mostly the same. But what they did keep, credit to New York for playing the France card, is they kept the Statue of Liberty, 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 Liberty. The fifth act up is Chloe Fredericks from North Dakota. I'm admittedly starting to warm up to her. I probably should have given her more points when I voted. I voted, that's what matters. And the song is basically the same. Connecticut's performance was mostly the same, except they went with more sparklies throughout the performance and less weird white farting columns. I don't really know what the decision was on that, but good thing Michael Bolton moved away from this. They still kept the imperialist globe, though. Nothing against imperialist globes, but that kind of tells you something. Next we go to Texas, and okay, this is going to be interesting because I've seen a bit of interesting oddities at how each act is placed with each other act in the running order. I mean, you got the show 2 qualifiers all grouped up, and you got Texas and California back to back. Now I know that you have hosts from those 2 countries, but that is just, I cannot resist. Grant Kanoki with the song Mr. Independent, and not much changes except that outfit. That outfit, he is going for like, what, is it appropriate to say he's got that shonen antagonist sort of stuff? Like, that outfit looks like he is the antagonist, the bad guy of something. Like, he looks like a boss in the video game sense of the term. Nothing else I can say to that. That looks pretty remarkable. And you know what, Grand Kanoki? You owned it, you rocked it, and I liked how you decided to dress yourself. Not particularly what I would wear, but you owned it. Next up is California, which I don't know how to describe how the performance is different. It just is. You know, you got the characters in different places, a bit more neon, and that's about it. I can't really say much about California, but we are in an interesting situation in which we got Texas, California, and New York all in the semi-final, and it's probable that all 3 of them are gonna get axed. That's gonna be brutal, and I wouldn't be surprised if after that the viewing figures for the final are just gonna tank. And if that happens, all I can really say is, bye, have a beautiful time! After California, we have Tennessee, the only jury qualifier in the entire batch in this show. Not really anything new in the performance, so I'm just gonna move on. Georgia, Stella Cole, and DIY, and those outfits, I cannot say anything. It's like, those are some pretty peachy keen outfits. Which leaves us with American Samoa. And the immediate question, why did you close out the show with American Samoa? This seems like a bizarre choice. And on top of that, not much has changed in this performance except, wait a minute, were those fire windmills? I'll give you credit, I haven't seen fire windmills in a long time. That is awesome! I missed fire windmills. I'm not saying everyone should do fire windmills, but that brings me nostalgia. You can tell I'm a Eurovision kid at heart. With all of that wrapped up, it's time to go into the jury qualifier. And there's only one previous jury qualifier in this entire show, and that is Tyler Braden from Tennessee. On the one hand, that means he's the most likely to win the jury qualifier spot again! On the other hand, you have all these participants from shows that are not the same as Tyler Braden's show coming to take the crown. So, you never know. But I called it. Tyler Braden advanced directly to the final with jury support. I mean, at this point I should probably say goodbye to California and Texas and Connecticut and Kansas. If this is the way things are going to go, the public is just going to eat you alive. No, seriously. Who are we going to qualify for the final if it's not those guys? It could be... I could see Georgia coming in. American Samoa could also come in considering the giant upwell of public support. And then after that, I don't know. But the way I see it, this is just not going to end well. Will we get both California and Texas in the final? Will both of them be left out? Or will we see an interesting dichotomy in which one of them qualifies but the other doesn't, and you get one host heckling the other for not having that representative make it to the final? I don't know. Also, to be honest, do I even know what time the final show is going to start? I need to look up that because I don't think I have any information on that. I really don't. And I probably should, because Eurovision week is next week. That means the Eurovision semifinals are going to start the day after the American Song Contest final, which is next week. And I'm going to say I haven't listened to any of the Eurovision 2022 songs. I don't even know where it's going to be hosted. And I intend for it to stay that way, okay? I've heard some people even suggest that in the Eurovision lineup, there could be about 20 songs in that lineup that could win ASC. That's a bold take you have there, lady and or gentlemen. I'm going to see what happens. But for now, we're just going to sit back and enjoy the final and an absolute bloodbath in the second semis. No, trust me, it's going to be even worse than semifinal one. Let me tell you some other time. Because now I need to talk about something related to ASC, but not really happening on the show, but just something I noticed. You know, it's standard protocol for what I do. And that is, for a long time, let's say, regarding the Eurovision Asia Song Contest, I've seen a lot of people talk about the contest, and a lot of people trying to do something regarding the contest, and it not panning out. To which I say, why? Why not just construct yourself a quick and dirty prototype, put it out there, measure the results, and have a basis for what you need to do the next time around? And I think that's what resulted in American Song Contest. Some executive or someone on the production team, I don't know, decided to go with this prototype approach because that's what it really feels like. This American Song Contest is the prototype I say I wanted, but never really realized that I shouldn't be having. It is a mess. To start with, no clear explanation on the rules of the contest or even what the show is. That was mistake number one, and probably also number two. Then you got all these features or detriments of the contest, which you can debate is either good or bad, like the 2-minute postcards, the stage, the whole studio setup, the lots and lots of commercials and product placement, though I can't really say anything about that. This is America, baby! The land of commercialism and capitalism. And just this weird, wonky voting mess. And now I'm starting to realize I asked for this. I didn't realize that until just recently. This idea that this is the prototype. This is what I've been telling everyone to do. And now I'm paying for my consequences because this could very well be the only American Song Contest. Of course, Eurovision Canada may have shown us that, no, maybe this is not the end. Maybe ASC could lie dormant for a few years while Eurovision experiments with the format in other countries. I mean, it's not off-kilter for a company when pushing a product overseas to change the format a little bit to suit its taste and eventually make a profit. Oreos does this all the time. That's why it's more successful than Hydrox. Don't quote me on that. But when I look at the product, I can't help but feel a little bit guilty. Now I know it can't be my fault because I bet you no one in the EBU or the ASC or Propagate Media or American Song Contest Incorporated or NBC or SVT or whoever has ever heard of ME. I'm just some guy on YouTube spewing nonsense that everyone should probably just ignore, but for some reason still gets a trickle of viewers every now and then. You know who you are. And I guess I just really have to bear with it. if NBC sees any value in this product, and who knows, maybe they have, they'll learn from this experience, take notes, and work to ensure that ASC 2023 is better, much better than anyone could imagine. Knock on wood. But of course, NBC is a corporation. They could always just ditch the project and tell ASC to go suck it. Oh, and tell EBU to also go suck it. But they still have Peacock. It would help to have some of that programming on Peacock to really bolster the roster, to really bolster the options people who want to watch Peacock can have. I mean, you can only sell the concept of you having The Office, Community, Parks and Rec, and WWE to only so many people. And it's not like the song contest is gonna sell much more, not without you explaining why you would want it. But that's the thing. We can never know what a big company like NBC, especially with the longevity they have on their side, would want to do next. But money is money. If NBC doesn't see a way to hold out with the product they have, then it's over. They're going to drop the ball, walk off the court, and never come back. But the way I'm seeing EBU, they really want to expand their brand, and they kind of have no choice given Eurovision is not really expanding as much as they would like. Basically, Eurovision potential has been tapped out. But hey, you never know. Maybe NBC will see value in the recording contracts and the songs and the content to put up on Peacock, and of course selling their content overseas to other people, and of course beating ABC and Fox with a singing show that is not The Voice, and they're just gonna keep trying. I'm not holding my breath, and I say this as a genuine song contest fan. I do plead of you, NBC, to keep the program on. You're in bad, but this is just the first edition. You can always make it up the second one. But if you choose to dump the project, I wouldn't blame you. Do the feedback thing, like, comment, subscribe, or dislike because you're from a state that I totally dissed. Follow me on Twitter at JERealize. This has been JERealize. I'll see you next time, and vote for the music. And I hope you're listening. I know that's ironic because the last time